If foil board shapes confuse you, this video breaks down how width, length, and design really affect your performance and progression. By the end, you'll know exactly what to look for in a board to match your style and local conditions. Foil boards come in a wide range of styles and sizes, which each are designed for different disciplines and environments. If you're new to foiling, but not 100% sure to where to start, check out our foiling guide up here.
Now let's get back to foil boards and what actually makes them different. Over the past year or two, board design has evolved a lot, shifting towards a more refined, less is more approach. In general, there are two key characteristics that determine how a foil board performs, both in the water and when on foil. That would be width and length. I'll be using 3 boards as examples that are similar in some ways, but drastically different in others.
This video is focused on prone or surf foiling, but the concepts apply to wing, parawing, and downwind foiling as well. We will be making videos on those particular disciplines coming up very soon.
First, let's talk about board width, because it's one of the most important and most understood dimensions. Width adds stability, both when popping up and once you're actually foiling. A narrow board, on the other hand, moves faster through the water and feels more reactive because there's less deck area. Both have their advantages and both have trade-offs. Starting with the positives of width, wider foil boards are generally easier to use. That extra width creates stability, which is why wider boards are ideal for learning in almost every foil discipline. If you're struggling to get to your feet, going slightly wider can make a big difference. That said, too much width can start working against you. A very wide board creates more drag, which can actually make it harder to get up on foil. Width gives you a solid platform, but when it comes to turning, you may need to adjust your stance to get that board to roll onto an edge.
Some riders actually prefer this offset stance because it allows you to use your front foot and back foot to turn. On the other side of this is narrowness.
Narrow boards today usually come with a longer rail line, which helps them release from the water faster. The trade-off is that you need much more precise balance to get there. With less width under your feet, everything has to be more dialed. Think of it like this. Try doing a push-up with your hands shoulder width apart. Now try it with your hands much closer together. It's harder. You're stronger in the first position because you have more base. On a narrow foil board, you're pushing on less surface area, so there's naturally more wobble while balancing.
So what are the pros of a narrow board?
Speed. Narrow outlines move through the water more efficiently because they're not pushing as much water out of the way. That efficiency shows up when paddling, winging, or any type of accelerating onto foil. Think about a barge. They don't make them short and wide. They make them long and narrow, so they move more efficiently through the water. From a performance standpoint, I personally find that narrow boards let you turn more from the hips. That actually results in a smoother, more carvy turn with less overall movement.
Width is always a trade-off, and you can really see it when you compare these two boards. They're both on the more extreme side of the spectrum.
The bump, which is Cabrina's prone board, is fairly wide at 20 inches. This board shines in steeper conditions where I want more forgiveness during the pop-up. The Swift, on the other hand, is technically a wingboard and comes in much narrower at 17.5 inches. Even so, I really enjoy proning in certain situations, especially in mushier or smaller waves at some of my local spots. The pumping feel between the two is pretty similar, but each board changes my riding style just enough that I'll reach for one over the other depending on the conditions.
Now let's talk about length, because it has a huge role in how width actually works.
No matter what, a board needs enough volume. Thickness can obviously affect that. but most riders find their comfort zone by first looking at width and length. Think back to the barge analogy. Extra wide and short is very stable, but slow, sometimes too slow to even get moving. Every modern foil board brand is mixing width and length intentionally. The difference is where you want to sit in that spectrum. Adding length helps a board move through the water faster and makes touchdown smoother, both when you come off foil and when you're trying to get back up. Longer boards also add pitch stability, which can make everything feel smoother from turns to pumping to overall control. That said, I'm not saying go ride a 7-foot long, 20-inch wide prone board and expect it to feel amazing. There's a limit. For prone foiling, I personally think that upper limit is around 6 feet.
But taking length away has its own advantages too.
With the right width to volume ratio, a shorter board becomes much more reactive and lively. Reducing swing weight makes the board feel snappier in maneuvers, but you're also giving up some stability. If you come off foil, shorter boards don't always recover as easily, or at all. And while we touched on this earlier, shorter and wider boards, especially when chasing volume, don't always paddle well. They can push a lot of water, and on lower volume boards, the nose may not even stay above the surface while paddling. At that point, your shoulders usually make that final decision.
Now let's talk about wide point placement and how nose and tail width affect performance.
When width is carried closer to the nose, it gives you a more solid platform during the pop-up. You can push off without sinking the nose, which is especially helpful when learning or in steeper conditions. The downside is that too much volume in front of your chest can cause the board to push water while paddling. It can also place excess volume in front of your front foot, which may make pumping less efficient if the volume isn't distributed properly. When the wide point is moved closer to the center of the board, you lose a bit of that pop-up stability, but the board paddles better and feels more lively under your feet. It tends to roll and respond more naturally once you're up and riding. Just like overall width versus narrowness, the same philosophy applies to nose and tail width. Fuller, more voluptuous outlines add stability, but they often require an offset stance to get the board to roll onto rail and initiate turns.
All right, now the last two things, we'll talk about the bottom of the board and the top of the deck.
Let's start with bottom contours. This is something you might not notice right away, but in certain conditions, it can make a big difference. These days, you don't see aggressive chines as much as you used to. Most foil boards fall into two bottom designs. First, a flat bottom with hard edge from tip to tail, or a rolled or rounded entry that transitions into hard edge. Here's a simple breakdown. A flat bottom with harder edges is generally more stable. On longer boards though, it can feel a bit tracky and may take more effort for the water to release. A rounded entry is less stable initially, but faster once it gets moving. It sits slightly lower in the water until it starts to plane, and once it does, there's less board in the water, helping it to get on foil quicker.
Last thing to go over is recess or concave in the deck.
A concave deck adds sensitivity. Think of it like a skateboard. Heel to toe concave lets you turn with less effort. Foil boards work the same way. The catch is that too much concave can make the board overly sensitive and harder to get to your feet. That's why modern boards don't use aggressive deck concave anymore. You'll also see boards with little to no concave, and that usually means, especially on wider boards, you may need to move your feet closer to the rails to initiate turns. Most wide foil boards today include some amount of deck concave. That gives you the stability you want during the pop-up, while still making the board easier to roll and turn once you're foiling.
After riding a lot of different foil boards, I've realized that small design changes really make a difference. Use these principles as a guide, not a rule book, and you'll end up on a board that actually helps your progression. I hope this helped clear some stuff up for you. We have more discipline-specific videos on the way with some of our team riders. If you dug this video, please give a like, subscribe, and feel free to comment. If you guys have any questions, I'm more than happy to help. And of course, you can give our shop a call at 732-284-3800. Hit us up at greenhatkiteboarding.com. And until next time, go get on foil. Peace.